gotta go this way. I'm back on another segment, and it actually involves 3 cars today. It is Monday, and a busy day, but that's the way it is. That's the way it goes. Power Play Garage, and let me get started. So this Ford F-250 I've been working on, that's a little bit later in this video, but first, let me take you over to a little bit simpler project on a Hyundai. There it is. That's right. It's getting a new fan. It's having an overheating problem, and the way I figured out the overheating problem is that when I would check to the fan, it didn't put out the oomph that it needed, the draw. And also, she said once it started getting hot, it would turn off her AC, which tells me again that the cooling system, the fan, isn't working properly to create the pull, the draw that it needs to cool down the condenser plus the radiator. So that being said, she picked it up. I expressed to her where to buy it. She picked it up there and brought everything to me today. And it's been sitting since about 11 o'clock this morning. It's in the later part of the afternoon. And now I'm going to get on it, and hopefully within the hour I can have it out, back in, and make sure there's enough coolant in there, and hope for the best. And that'll be that. So far you got to take this air breather box kind of thing. It's kind of like a diverter to the air filter. That's going to come off with just 2 plastic clips. And then you got to take the center bolt out that straps in the radiator hose. And you got 2 bolts, one on either side of the corner, and everything there is all 10 millimeter. So let me get that going, and I think I have to take off the upper hose to get that out of the way so I have a clean way of getting it out. So let me get it out, so stand by. Alright, I'm back. And this bad girl right here tried my patience, I'll tell you. These fans setups, it's a shroud and a fan. They're not super expensive, but they're not cheap either. And most likely made in China, but this is the old one. This is the old one. And it was almost 100% matched, but not quite. But that's okay. It fitted. It works. Hopefully it works. I didn't try it yet. But for as much money as these things cost, I'm sure some of you guys out there had to change them, you'd think for a fraction of a penny, that they could have incorporated the clip/nut, it's all one unit, into this little spot right here. Yeah. And this one down here at this end. And this end holds the lower radiator hose. It's got its own little plastic bracket that bolts into it. And this one here is the upper one. See? Right here. The upper one. Slides on there, put the bolt in there, and keeps the hose in place. You'd think, for a fraction of a penny, for these two, that they could have put them in there. No. So, you got to fiddle with it so you don't snap them in half, to get them off carefully so that you can reuse them in the new one. It's a joke. For the amount of money you spend on a lot of the product today, it's a joke. It really is. Nothing's cheap, but it makes for the mechanic's job annoying. Really annoying. Because you just think to yourself, why does it have to be that way? Why couldn't they simplify it, knowing that the person who's buying that is paying for it? Put it on there. Just my gripe. Just mine. Just saying. But everything is back. I filled up a little bit past the max because I know there's some that came out of the ready of the upper part. So I'm fixing to start it right now. And obviously, it's going to have to get warm in order for it to actually turn on. But I always double check, and even the plug was the right one. So I'm really amazed that they go through all that trouble for the plug, because sometimes when you get them, you got to change the plug. I don't know why, but they actually give you a little short plug with a wiring harness and you have to rewire it. I've had those in the past, and I can't understand why, but hey, this one at least came with the right one. I'm thrilled. So I'm going to grab the keys. Before I do, I don't want to get into her vehicle with dirty hands. So give me a moment. I'm going to go wash my dirty hands. I'll be right back. See that? I'm back. Keys. Clean hands. Check headlight low. Well, she's got a headlight out. Yep. I gotta let her know about that. Where's my light? Look at that, it's on already. And it took in the antifreeze. I'm surprised that that fan is on. Oh, one little side note, when it came in here and it was super duper hot and she was having a problem getting here, it basically took her 2 hours to get here on a 15-minute normal ride. And it's because it, kept overheating, and she'd pull over, let it cool down, which was, a very smart thing to do. But the fan was not working when it came in. So the fan not working, prime indication that there's a problem with it. So it's at a good level right now, I believe. I hope. Yep. I put it to the max line. She's purring like a little kitten, no? Yep. I know you really can't hear it that well. But the fan is on. Maybe the air conditioning is on too, and maybe that's why the fan is on. Ooh, I could feel the pull from here, which before you couldn't. When I was figuring out what her problem was, even though the fan was turning, but you couldn't feel anything out here. There really wasn't enough pull. The fan was weak and was on its way out, and obviously on her way here, it went out. Permanently out. So I hope that solves her problem. I'm going to put the cap on. It's on. Yep. All is well. I think we might be good. I'm going to put her extra coolant in the back. But that's the scoop on this. It's a Hyundai. What model is it? Tulsa? I'm not even sure of the year of this model. It's not an old one, I don't believe, but anyhow, so far so good. There's no leaks from the radiator hose where I disconnected it. I do want to clean it a little bit more though. You know, and to top it off, it had those squeeze clamps. And they're pretty good and they work well. But the worst part about it is to access them. And I do have the proper tool for it. And this is what it looks like. Some people just use a pair of channel locks or a pair of pliers. But this is designed for that. It's got a U shape on one end and a cup on the other, so that this hooks into one end and this hooks into the other end of that clamp. You just squeeze it and it will lock in place and hold its position while you try to, you know, get it out of the way and pull the hose out. Well, the problem is, you see the length of this, which is probably 10 inches. Even such a small pair of pliers have a difficult time getting it over here on the corner where the hose is mounted to the radiator. You know, so, you know, that's a Japanese thing. They've been doing that forever. But it's not easy to get at. It's not easy to work it and manipulate it to get it to move back to pull the hose off. Just saying. My experience. So, that's that. Let me double check this. Where are you? Yep, nice and dry. The coolant is flowing because the radiator hose is getting warm, a little bit beyond warm. It's got some heat to it. The level's staying good. I'm sure the thermostat will open up shortly. It probably already has opened up. And the temperature gauge, which I'm glad is actually a gauge and not an idiot light, it's just before the halfway mark. It's nowhere near overheating, obviously, but, you know, you just never know. All is well. I'm sure she's going to be a happy camper. It's nice and tight and locked. Well, that's going to end this little part, but later I'm going to be back and talk a little bit about the coupe, and then also the 250, the F-250 truck. So stand by. Okay, I'm back, and I decided to add a little bit more to what I just done for that fan change on that Hyundai. So I also, in the morning, I was working on this coupe because we needed to change the fan of all things. And this is the reason why I decided to add this job along with that job. That's the old fan from the coupe. It didn't have enough draw for what this needed. So we got a more high performance one, and I've had to make brackets for it. And in the meantime, the client actually was trying to figure out the automatic door openers with that pile of mess back there, and not having a whole lot of luck, but we will figure it out. So I decided to not go with the conventional, as you can see, the stem sticking out of the front of the grill, which I will end up pulling back out. That's usually how they want you to fasten these fans, and that's how that one was fastened. But it just really wasn't going to work out very well, so I came up with another idea. I went and got some heavier metal to create an interesting shaped bracket, which I actually took a couple of times to actually fabricate this, and for as zigzaggy as it is, and then the way it was to turn out, I would get confused at one point and end up bending this thicker stuff in a different direction, the wrong direction. So I ended up cutting it and welding it the other way, so this way would be correct. And when it's all said and done and painted, and where it's going to go, you're not going to see a whole lot of it. And it's going to go in here like this, turn, and the bolt that belongs in there, which we had to get longer ones, will then secure this side, and we're going to do the same for the right side. So in the meantime, I started making the other one, and that one will be finished tomorrow, as in Tuesday, and then we'll be able to put the rest of the stuff back where it belonged, and the strut rod for the front radiator, grill support housing, and pretty much fill that up. And in the meantime, Saturday, I did receive these parts here, and it's from, what company is this from? I ordered this actually for my dually, like I mentioned in a prior video, and they did come in, and this is going to work out awesome for that coupe. And it came from something devil. Can't remember. This along with coolant, yeah, devil energy, evil energy, I'm sorry. So those two items came on Saturday, and we're using that one for this coupe because we got to vent the PVC valve into something because it doesn't have your typical air cleaner. So we're going to mount that unit probably up there in the center, and then this breather side for the cap right there will go to that as well. And like I said, it's going to be somewhere around here out of the way of the distributor, and that will take care of both valve covers being vented properly and go from there. So for right now, yeah, we're doing little things here and there that had to be finished up on this coupe. She's already taken it out to a couple of events, enjoying the car, and this way we get to work out the little bugs here and there. But in the meantime, this is a short video, and it's going to end now because I want to do a sole video on that 1984 Ford F-250s because there's enough to do left on that to show in the video. And I figured tomorrow morning I could post this one and get it out there so the client can actually see what I did to her car, which had to do with the coolant fan shroud assembly change out. You know, took an hour, a little bit better actually than an hour. Like I mentioned along the way, it has its ups and downs, but nevertheless, it's done. And so is this part of the video, and I do appreciate people watching. So if you wouldn't mind, subscribe, make a comment, tell a friend, share it, you know, do what you got to do, but give a little help, a little support. And until then, try to get something done. Thanks for watching.